Have you ever felt the presence of someone whose path seems untouchable, whose life carries an energy that cannot be easily shaken? Some people move through the world with an invisible shield, guided by a sense of purpose that is unmistakable. They are not invincible in the conventional sense, but there is a force around them that protects, guides, and empowers. These are the chosen ones, individuals who, whether by destiny, circumstance, or sheer perseverance, seem destined to influence the lives around them in profound ways. But what happens when others fail to recognize their significance, or worse, attempt to disrupt their journey? History and experience suggest that those who interfere with the path of such individuals often find themselves confronting consequences far beyond what they expected. The idea of the chosen one is not limited to any single culture or religion. Across the globe, stories abound of figures whose presence changes the course of events, whether through leadership, insight, or unwavering integrity. In some belief systems, these individuals are seen as divinely appointed, while in others, they are simply recognized for their extraordinary alignment with a larger purpose. But what unites these narratives is not the belief itself. It is the principle that some lives carry weight and influence far beyond the ordinary. And when that influence is threatened, the world responds in ways that are both subtle and unmistakable. Have you ever noticed how, when someone pursues their true path with authenticity, obstacles seem to rise only to teach, refine, or redirect rather than to destroy? Consider the ethical dimension of this concept. If we recognize that certain people are uniquely positioned to make a positive difference, does that not also carry a responsibility for us to respect their journey? Interference often comes not from malice alone, but from misunderstanding, envy, or fear. Those who cannot see the value of another's purpose may feel compelled to redirect or diminish it. Yet the very act of resisting the natural course of a purposeful life can invite struggle, tension, or unexpected challenges. It is as if the universe, or the intricate balance of cause and effect, defends the path of those whose impact is significant. Does this mean their journey is free from hardship? Certainly not. But it does suggest that attempts to derail such lives are rarely as successful as one might assume. There is also a reflective lesson here for each of us. In observing the resilience of chosen individuals, we are invited to consider our own alignment with purpose. Are we moving with integrity and awareness, or are we drifting under the pressure of distractions and the opinions of others? Witnessing the unwavering determination of those who are truly on a path of influence can inspire us to safeguard our own journey. And it raises questions about the balance between agency and destiny, between the choices we make and the outcomes that seem beyond our control. When we understand that some lives carry a momentum not easily shifted, we begin to recognize the subtle interplay between intention, action, and consequence. We see that respect, discernment, and patience are not only ethical virtues, but practical tools for navigating the presence of those whose lives are marked by purpose. The existence of the chosen ones challenges us to think deeply about influence and consequence. Why is it that some people seem to touch lives in ways that ripple across time and space, while others struggle to leave even a small mark? And what does it reveal about our own responsibility when we encounter such individuals? Perhaps the first step is understanding that interference, whether intentional or accidental, carries weight. Each action we take towards someone whose path is significant reverberates far beyond the immediate moment. As we explore this idea further, we will see how the world responds to those who dare to obstruct the destined course of lives that are, in many ways, larger than themselves. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to rise no matter the obstacles, while others falter despite every advantage? It is not simply luck or coincidence. There is a rhythm to the lives of those who are truly aligned with purpose. Their path is marked by challenges, yes, but also by an uncanny resilience that seems almost preordained. When someone tries to hinder them, the resistance they encounter often mirrors their own strength, as if life itself refuses to bend to forces that oppose what is meant to unfold. This is not a matter of superstition, but a reflection of how cause and consequence, intention and action, create patterns that are difficult to disrupt. It is as though the universe has a way of protecting those whose influence is vital and who are meant to leave an imprint on the world. This raises an important question. Why do some attempts to interfere with a purposeful life fail so spectacularly? Often, it is because the challenges we face are not just random obstacles. They are tests of alignment and focus. Those who are chosen, in the sense of being positioned to make a significant impact, have learned, consciously or unconsciously, to navigate these tests with clarity. They do not avoid difficulties, but they approach them with resilience, reflection, and a keen sense of timing. When opposition arises, it is not merely external. It often illuminates weaknesses, sharpens awareness, and strengthens resolve. Can you see how adversity, in this light, is less a punishment and more a guidepost, showing where focus and intention are needed most? At the same time, we must consider the ethical dimension of encountering someone whose life carries extraordinary purpose. How do we engage with such individuals? Do we respect their journey, or do we act out of envy, misunderstanding, or fear? Human nature often pushes us toward comparison, toward trying to influence or control what we cannot comprehend. Yet interference rarely produces the intended effect. In fact, those who attempt to obstruct or manipulate are often the ones who face unforeseen setbacks. There is a profound lesson in this. The energy we expend in opposition often returns to us magnified, while the person whose path is true continues forward, learning, growing, and ultimately influencing the world in ways that cannot be contained. Reflection on this concept invites a broader understanding of purpose and consequence. What does it mean for a life to be chosen? Perhaps it is simply a matter of alignment, aligning talents, intentions, and opportunities in a way that produces impact far beyond the individual. But this alignment is not static. It must be maintained through discipline, patience, and the courage to act according to one's principles. Every challenge that arises is a reminder that purpose is tested, refined, and proven through experience. And when someone tries to derail this process, the outcome often reinforces the very resilience they sought to challenge. This interplay between human action and natural consequence is a lesson not only for the chosen ones, but for everyone observing the ripple effects of integrity, focus, and determination. Ultimately, understanding the dynamics at play in the lives of those who are aligned with purpose encourages us to reflect on our own path. Are we moving with clarity and intention, or are we distracted by comparison and conflict? How we respond to others, especially those whose journey is significant, reveals as much about our character as the path we walk ourselves. By witnessing the resilience of the chosen, we are reminded that respect, patience, and ethical action are not abstract ideals. They are essential tools for navigating the intricate web of human influence, consequence, and purpose. And in recognizing this, we begin to see that interference is not only futile, but often a teacher, showing the limits of control and the power of alignment. Have you noticed how some individuals seem to move through life with an almost magnetic inevitability, drawing opportunities, guidance, and support toward them? It is not that they are untouched by difficulty, but rather that the challenges they face serve a different purpose. These experiences act as filters, separating distraction from focus, fear from courage, and doubt from conviction. When someone tries to obstruct their path, the obstacles often reveal hidden strengths, illuminate untapped potential, and teach lessons that could not be learned otherwise. Isn't it fascinating how resistance, when encountered by a person truly aligned with purpose, rarely destroys but instead refines and empowers? This principle is not mystical. It is an observation about human resilience and the intricate web of cause, effect, and opportunity. There is also a social dimension to consider. People who are aligned with a significant purpose inevitably attract attention, both supportive and antagonistic. The more impactful a life is, the greater the reactions it evokes in others. This is a natural outcome of influence. Some will recognize and support it, while others, threatened by what they cannot control, may attempt to diminish it. In these moments, the chosen ones are often tested, not by the scale of external opposition alone, but by their response. Will they allow fear, doubt, or anger to dictate their decisions? Or will they maintain focus, grounded in clarity and intention? The answer often determines not only the trajectory of their own life, but also the influence they have on those around them. Reflection on this dynamic can teach us something profound about human nature. Interference often arises from misunderstanding, envy, or the desire to control outcomes. Yet, life has a way of balancing these forces. Those who try to suppress or redirect a purposeful journey frequently encounter setbacks or complications that mirror their intentions. In this sense, resistance serves as both a challenge and a warning. Attempting to alter the course of someone whose path is significant often produces consequences far beyond what was anticipated. It is as if the natural flow of purposeful action defends itself, guiding events in alignment with deeper patterns of cause and effect. Can you see how this principle might apply not only to extraordinary lives, but to our everyday interactions as well? The journey of the chosen also emphasizes the importance of patience and discernment. Progress is rarely instantaneous, and influence cannot be forced. Those who are truly aligned with purpose move with deliberate care, navigating complexity with a combination of insight and persistence. Each trial, each attempt at interference, provides clarity about what is essential and what is not. This process is a reminder that impact is not measured merely by visibility or speed, but by the depth and consistency of action over time. Observing this pattern encourages reflection. How do we respond when we encounter resistance, either from others or from circumstances? Do we persist with integrity, or do we allow external pressures to dictate our decisions? Ultimately, the resilience of the chosen challenges us to think critically about influence, consequence, and the nature of purpose itself. Their lives demonstrate that intentionality, perseverance, and ethical engagement produce results that cannot be easily diverted. The lessons embedded in these journeys are universal: respect for others' paths, understanding the limits of control, and recognizing the unseen ways in which cause and effect shape outcomes. By paying attention to these patterns, we gain insight into not only the extraordinary lives we observe, but also the potential for our own alignment, focus, and impact in the world around us. When we look closely at the lives of those who are truly aligned with purpose, one thing becomes clear: influence and impact are rarely accidental, The chosen ones operate with a combination of intention, resilience, and awareness that allows them to navigate complexity in ways that others cannot easily replicate. Their journey is not about privilege or ease. It is about the consistent application of focus, values, and action in alignment with a broader trajectory. What makes this compelling is how attempts to interfere with such a life often fail, not because the individual is immune, but because their journey is supported by layers of preparation, experience, and natural consequence that guide them forward. It is a reminder that purpose, when genuine, has a momentum that resists disruption. Consider the ethical and philosophical implications of this. Every action we take toward someone whose life carries significance carries weight, whether we realize it or not. Attempting to manipulate, hinder, or redirect them is rarely a neutral act. It produces consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment. Those who engage in interference may face setbacks, tension, or unforeseen outcomes. Conversely, the person whose path is aligned with purpose continues to grow, learn, and influence the world in ways that ripple outward. Isn't it remarkable how resilience, integrity, and clarity act as invisible shields, not as a guarantee of ease, but as a safeguard against unnecessary derailment? There is also a personal lesson embedded in observing such lives. When we witness the persistence, discipline, and intentionality of those who are purpose-driven, we are prompted to reflect on our own paths. Are we moving with alignment, clarity, and ethical integrity, or are we distracted by comparison, fear, or the influence of others? Observing the chosen encourages introspection. What are we doing to ensure that our own actions are purposeful, consistent, and resilient? How do we respond when challenges arise, or when external forces attempt to push us off course? The reflection itself becomes a form of preparation, equipping us to navigate the uncertainties of life with greater awareness and intention. Finally, understanding the dynamics of purposeful lives reshapes how we view human interaction and consequence. Influence is not limited to the extraordinary. Each life has the potential to affect others in ways that are meaningful and far-reaching. Recognizing the natural resistance that arises around significant action encourages humility, patience, and respect in our relationships. It reminds us that attempting to control or obstruct the progress of another is rarely productive, and that the energies we expend in opposition often return to us, sometimes amplified. At the same time, those who navigate life with intention model the power of persistence, ethical action, and alignment with purpose. In the end, the lives of the chosen serve as mirrors for our own journey. They challenge us to consider how we navigate obstacles, respond to resistance, and cultivate focus in the face of uncertainty. They teach us that purpose carries momentum, that integrity safeguards progress, and that every action we take has a ripple effect far beyond what we see. By studying these patterns, we gain insight not only into extraordinary lives, but also into the principles that guide meaningful human experience. The message is clear. Respect the path of those who are aligned with purpose. Reflect on your own alignment, and recognize that resilience, intention, and ethical engagement create ripples that endure far longer than immediate circumstance. Even when a life is aligned with purpose, the journey is never simple. Challenges continue to arise, not as punishment, but as opportunities for growth, discernment, and refinement. Those who attempt to obstruct or undermine such individuals often underestimate the depth of preparation, experience, and inner clarity that supports their path. Resistance may create temporary tension, but it rarely changes the trajectory of a life that is intentional and focused. This is not about mysticism. It is about the observable patterns of cause, effect, and consequence. When purpose is pursued with consistency and integrity, obstacles become part of the learning process, shaping the individual in ways that enhance rather than diminish their influence. It is also important to recognize the subtle forms of interference that exist in everyday life. Not all challenges come as overt opposition. Sometimes they appear as distraction, doubt, or societal pressure. These pressures test the commitment, discipline, and clarity of the individual. Yet, in navigating these subtleties, the truly aligned develop resilience, wisdom, and insight that cannot be forced or manufactured. Isn't it interesting how what seems like a burden or difficulty often becomes a tool for refinement? The chosen learn to distinguish between what demands energy and what can be observed, accepted, and released, allowing them to conserve focus for what truly matters. Another aspect of this journey is the responsibility that comes with influence. Those whose lives are significant in impact often carry an unspoken weight. The awareness that their choices, actions, and words ripple outward, affecting others in profound ways. Understanding this dynamic encourages ethical engagement, humility, and mindfulness. Every decision is magnified, every response observed, and every action potentially transformative. And when others attempt to disrupt this flow, the consequences often return to reveal the balance of intention and action, reinforcing the idea that purposeful alignment has both protective and clarifying power. For those observing the lives of the chosen, the lessons are equally powerful. We are reminded that respect for others' paths is not merely courteous, it is practical and wise. Attempts to manipulate, derail, or control the trajectory of someone whose influence is significant rarely succeed as intended and often result in unforeseen complications. Conversely, by fostering awareness, patience, and ethical action, we learn to navigate relationships and challenges in ways that promote harmony and understanding. The presence of purpose-driven individuals offers a mirror, reflecting the choices, priorities, and alignment within our own lives. Ultimately, the lives of the chosen reveal a universal truth. Resilience, intentionality, and ethical engagement are forces that shape not only individual experience, but the broader world. Attempts to interfere may arise, yet they seldom derail the trajectory of those committed to meaningful action. The pattern is consistent, challenge refines, opposition teaches, and alignment produces impact that extends far beyond immediate circumstance. In embracing these lessons, we gain insight into both extraordinary lives and our own potential for purpose. We see that influence is rarely accidental, that integrity safeguards progress, and that understanding the rhythms of consequence allows us to navigate life with greater clarity, respect, and intentionality.